I want to help you manage one of the biggest problems with strength training for an endurance athlete, whether you are a runner, a cyclist, a triathlete, someone who just wants to get out in the mountains. One of the hardest things you can do throughout the whole training year is to maintain a consistency with your strength and conditioning. It's one of the first things that falls to the wayside, and obviously I've always understood it, because obviously your heart and your head are outdoors, so they're in the sport, and that's why it's so easy obviously to become overtrained. That's why it's so easy to do too much of it, too much too soon, and this is why obviously we have a business. But what I want to do is help you guys with the kind of this in-season mindset. So, whether you train for events and races, and the middle of the year potentially becomes kind of packed with events and races and adventure, or you're someone who just literally, as soon as it gets the spring and summer seasons come around, you're just out and about every weekend to weekend, literally looking for the next adventure, no matter what it is. And I work with people who are climbing mountains, who are running trails, who are event to event, who are traveling all over Europe, traveling all over the world. It actually doesn't matter, but because when it comes right back down to it, you have a certain high expectation on your body. You expect your body to be able to perform on a daily, weekly basis, and some of you are incredible athletes. Like you are absorbing amazing amounts of work on a daily, weekly basis, and you're doing it well to a certain degree, but you're mechanically pushing your body, putting a lot of stress, accumulating a lot of work through your body, and there comes a breaking point. And a lot of you experience that. A lot of you struggle throughout the middle of the year to stay consistent. A lot of you struggle with you're kind of yo-yoing with injuries. You have pain that kind of seems to bounce all over your body, from your foot to your knee, to your hip, to your back, to your shoulder, back down to your knee again. You're kind of jumping from health professional to strength coach to new sports coach, trying to work out, to tolerate more work. It's because you're probably lacking consistency, guys. You are lacking a consistency in that basic maintenance work that is going to keep you young, keep you strong, keep you kind of just healthy. And that work is your strength and conditioning work. Like it is, it will always be the case. There's always a certain level of maintenance that your body requires, because of the potential one-dimensional nature of the sports that you're playing. For someone who wants to be in the water all the time, someone who wants to be on the mountain all the time, someone who wants to be out on the trail all the time, or in the saddle all the time, then you are putting a lot of work through certain muscle groups in certain joint positions. You're putting a certain amount of forces through your body in certain ways. How are you counteracting that? How are you bringing maintenance to that? And some of you are very good at doing some strength and conditioning work periodically throughout the year. How do you maintain it non-negotiably all throughout the year? Because in all honesty, guys, that's the secret. Like you are there is the relentless consistency that comes from these professional divisions. These individuals that are able to seemingly absorb work on a daily, weekly basis, year in, year out, all throughout the year, probably picking up some niggles and injuries along the way, because that's just human. But how are they able to maintain it? Was because they are literally just like robotically, they are literally going into the gym or into the home gym, and they're doing their necessary S&C work, working on the mobility, doing the myofascial release work, getting into their band work, getting into their body weight and free weight base work, working on their maximal strength, working on their squat pattern, their hip hinge pattern. They're lifting heavy body weight loads through their body, working on the plyometrics. The list goes on, right? But even if I am speaking to I'm preaching to the converted already, guys. I know a lot of you guys are already doing some, but then you are pretty guilty though still of letting it drop off. So what's the answer to this? Well, we have to navigate this obviously every year, whether we're working with the southern hemisphere or the northern hemisphere. We're pretty much dealing with it all year round. This kind of in-season kind of fluctuations of people struggling with motivation, struggling to kind of fit everything in. Microdosing is something I really want you guys to have heard of before, because you can microdose everything pretty much in life. And microdosing your strength and conditioning, getting your head around the concept of, once you have learned the necessary strength and conditioning work that you need to be working on, so once you've gone through and understood what the key exercises are for you, like as in what do you need to be working on more so than anyone else, what areas of weakness do you honestly have. Then once you have that knowledge about yourself and you've kind of put you've been through a decent number of blocks of training for 8, 12, 16 weeks of S&C work, you understand what your squat looks like, your deadlift looks like, you've got good technique, then this micro dosing can be a really, really effective way of doing this. And what this micro dosing looks like is, hypothetically, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 S&C sessions a week in your normal program, in your off season, shall we say, or your pre-season work. You're doing 2 to 3 45 to 60-minute sessions, full body approach, focusing on lower body maximal loads, working on your upper body strength, etc. You're probably looking at 7 or 8 exercises across a 45 60-minute period, incorporating all the key areas that you need to be working on. Now, once you get into the season, you simply don't have that capacity. It's really hard to find that energy level, that amount of time, especially if you've got races back to back, weekend after weekend. Very hard to kind of put that type of effort in, and that's understandable. So then it's breaking it down, and microdosing would be breaking those 2 to 3 S&C sessions, maybe an hour and a half, 2 to 3 hours worth of work, maximally probably, into potentially 4 20-minute sessions. Now, these 20-minute sessions are going to be highlighting the more bang for your buck exercises. It's not 20 minutes of just sort of lying around and just doing a bit of core work and a bit of stretching. Like, it's got to, you want to be going into it with some serious intent, and that intent is going to be based off what you need, what are the key exercises that you need. So we want you to be thinking about those kind of movements that are going to be, you're going to be really dialing in on those key areas of weakness. So for us, single leg strength, posterior chain, your ability to land, produce force, to stabilize through one foot due to previous injury, whatever it needs to be. But breaking those sessions down into more manageable chunks is something that we definitely bring into certain people's programming at different times. If they are literally back to back, then we do break things down to 20, 30-minute sessions. Maybe not, instead of doing 2 big ones, they might do 3 small ones, or they may do 1 big one and a couple of little ones. But they're always, guys, going to be based off what that individual needs more of. They're not. Yes, you could just do some generic exercises and you would get some generic results from it, but we really want that specificity. But we want to be thinking about kind of balancing that training load, but also getting that kind of individualization again. We want that, okay, because that's where you're going to get the most results. Yeah. So I think when it comes to microdosing, the reason we're doing it, guys, is because we're trying to manage the neurological load. Yeah, we're trying to manage the amount of volume and intensity that you're putting through your body. And during the season, during the summer, whatever it is, there is, it's higher than usual. You are working at a higher capacity. Life is still happening around you. You're still at work. You've still got a family to look after, etc. Relationships to manage. So your output is huge still, but it could be obviously significantly more because the days are longer, the weather's better. So, but we still need to get that work in. So as your S&C coaches, we're looking at your week and go, right, we have got to still get this necessary work in, but we've got to make sure it's manageable still. Like, even with this obviously increased volume, and the intensities, we still got to get the necessary work in. So we are breaking things down to make sure you're ticking the boxes, but you're still managing that neurological load. Because if you mismanage this leads to overreaching, and then further down the line, overtraining symptoms, which is, tendinopathies and stress responses and, chronic fatigue and etc., like just mental breakdown, just demotivation, etc. So there's numerous different reasons here, but we are looking to minimize the fluctuations in your consistency. We need you to keep turning up, ticking the boxes, but we are looking to adjust the settings slightly so that you can get the work done. We can keep that specificity there, with that individualization there. Yeah. So, as I said, breaking those let's say 2 to 3, there's 2 key S&C sessions. You've got you're going to have a squat day and a deadlift day. You're then going to have you're going to have single leg focuses. You're going to have upper body focuses. You're going to have core focuses within that, plus some posterior chain and plyometric focuses in there. You're going to have all those going on. But then when it comes to these shorter microdose sessions, you may only be looking at 1 squat pattern exercise, or 1 hip hinge or deadlift pattern exercise, 1 single leg exercise, and 1 posterior chain exercise, and then maybe finish with core. So you may only be looking at 3 to 4 key exercises within that, with that kind of warm-up routine and recovery routine that's already probably hopefully been already set in and established, something that you can quite easily just complete within 2 to 3 minutes and then get into the nuts and bolts of the session. But those sessions, they need to be hyper specific. You want to be getting the most out of it. You still want to be working on your plyometrics. You want to work on that, on those priming exercises that are going to get those key muscle groups engaged. So a nice mix of kind of plyometric contrast training with those heavier loads. That's still going to be fine to do in a 20-30 minute session. It's just kind of breaking that down. Yep. So really, really powerful way of kind of maintaining that consistency. Like the difference between an average or a disappointing season and a successful season is often the way you maintain your body's ability to keep going. You've got to fuel it, obviously. You've got to make sure you're recovering it well, obviously. But a lot of people just leave the mechanics, the maintenance to the wayside, and it just drops away, and then they become deconditioned and they get weaker. And this is why they pick up injuries. This is why they don't see those results stretch out to the end of the season. So microdosing, fantastic way of going about this. As I said, we implement this all the time because of our kind of our community spread out across the world. So we have different people in different seasons all the time. But microdosing is only something that you want to be bringing in short term. It's something that I don't, people will then obviously take this concept and go, oh, I can do this all year round. Well, guys, there are a few negatives to this. Okay, there's a monotony to doing this many sessions and only turning up and doing short amount of sessions, across a short time. That it does have a shelf life. This type of structure, this type of programming. There is going to be less intensity because we're not be able to get as much volume into those sessions. We're not going to be able to accumulate as much work. And so it's going to be more maintenance, this type of work, than it would be progressive overload. Like if you look at a great strength and conditioning program, it has at least 9 to 12 sets of that target these key muscle groups, because we're looking to progressively overload those key muscle groups and those joint structures. Once they've been bullied with 3 to 4 sets of one squat, one front squat pattern, we then want to go in and hit it again with potentially a split squat or a single leg RDL. We want to hit that hip, that knee, and that ankle joint with another type of kind of strength exercise. And then you want to hit it again with some posterior chain work, and then you want to hit it again with some plyometric work. So there is a reason why we have a bigger structure to your S&C sessions in general. This is why we want to be partitioning off 45 to 60 minutes in your off-season work, because we want to be putting that amount of work into your body. You simply would, you wouldn't be doing enough to get those bigger benefits. However, in the short term, microdosing, fantastically powerful way of adjusting things to maintain a level of consistency. So we want to keep you motivated. We want to keep that momentum rolling through the year. We want to keep you ticking those boxes. We want to prevent deconditioning and weakening of key muscle groups that simply don't get enough of a look in during your sport training and within your work life. So to do that, microdosing is a fantastic way of going about it. So guys, in terms of understanding more about this and getting into the nitty-gritty of it, just reach out, because if this is something that you feel like would be the answer to your in-season performance, something that's going to allow you, then just get in touch. We're more than happy to kind of sit down, go through what you need, break down how you move, what your kind of real the key exercise that you need to be working on and addressing, and then give you that accountability, stripping back your week. I don't care how busy you are. We work with all kinds of people that have literally a wall-to-wall day-to-day, but they were still getting that necessary work in, so they can still do the work they want to do at the weekends, or they can still compete and have a full race calendar and be good for it. So guys, whenever you're ready, reach out. Love to have more conversation around this. Again, it's a very individual conversation because it is based around your busy lifestyle. But as I said, there's a skill to it, there's an art to it, and would love for you guys to have more of an understanding on this. Speak to you soon, guys.